Life speaks. It speaks through struggles and success, through music and messages, the preconceived and the unexpected. Whether you are in the depths of the valley or in the midst of your mountaintop experience, everyone needs to be encouraged from time to time. You've tuned in to ALH Broadcasting, and this is Andrea L. Hines, your host for When Life Speaks. I'm glad you accepted the invitation to connect with us as we share stories of strength, testimonies of triumph, observations, and information meant to touch the heart and uplift the soul. There's something in this broadcast just for you, and if it's a blessing to your life, it just may be for someone else as well. So tag, share, invite someone, then turn down the volume of life and get ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you'll speak life. Good evening, everyone. This is Andrea L. Hines, and I am your host for When Life Speaks, and I welcome you this evening. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you for being a part of the program. This is going to be a fun program this evening, and I always like it when we have the opportunity to relax a little bit and have the opportunity to laugh a little bit and have an opportunity to share a little bit. So we're going to have a little bit of all of that going on tonight. I have a couple of very, very special guests who are going to be with me, and we're just going to have a chat. You know, I think back to, I was thinking about this being Black History Month and how history is created and different things that go on in the past. And I was thinking about When Life Speaks and the fact that it started back in 2018. Ooh, I tell you, we had a one-year celebration, 2019, and things shifted around. I went from just having a program to being a station owner. And then the next year, everything, I was going to have another celebration. It was going to be an annual thing. And I was so excited about it. And then came COVID. Woo! And COVID changed it all. There was a lot going on and a lot that was not going on, but new things continued to happen. And one of the new things that happened was that I broadened the stations, brought in some new programming, and one of the programs that came on the broadcast, that joined the broadcast, had two other people with it. I tell you what, it was, I don't even know how to describe it. It was exciting. It was fun. It was, gave you butterflies a little bit. But tonight I wanted to bring those two ladies on because we have become a very, very tight unit. And God is guiding us and leading us. And I'm going to go ahead and bring them on right now. And you may remember them. You may see them every week because some of you come into that broadcast. And that broadcast is called Authors Up. And we're going to bring them in right now. We'll see who we're going to bring in first. Going to bring in this wonderful lady. That's Ruth Griffin. And we're going to bring in Miss Victoria Henderson. Ladies, how are you?
Hey, Bronze girls. Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Ladies, this is the group. This is the trio. This is the team. I don't know what else you want to call them, but I am introducing these ladies to you, Linda Cooks, Bernice. Thank you for joining us. Angie, thank you as well. Naikayeta is in the house, and I see Leah is there as well. So good evening to you, ladies. Thank you so much for being a part of this broadcast. And I want to encourage you, if you have any questions for these other two ladies or for me, tonight is the night to ask because it is an open forum tonight. We're going to talk about how we got started. We're going to talk about some of the things that have happened with us and to us along the way. And one thing that I want us to be able to talk about a little bit tonight is why it works. Why it works, because it does work and it works very well for us. And when I think about it, I think about the fact that you can have friends and relationships in one area that does not extend to another area. So
That's
while we
true.
were all together at church and we were in different groups together, drama group together, and I think Ruth and Victoria were working in another ministry together. Coming into this broadcast business and coming into these programs was not the same animal. Not at all. And tell me a little bit, Ruth and Victoria. You know how we do. It's hard for us to just stay in a straight line. So let's just talk a little bit about what it meant to you and what your thoughts were about joining internet radio and TV. Who's gonna start? Just look at
I guess I will start.
the
I will start. So,
Go
honestly,
ahead,
when
go
you
ahead. You can
approached,
start.
can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so when you approached me about the show, I just said, sure. I hadn't thought about it, hadn't thought what it would look like. It was just, okay, Andrea's asking me for something, and I'm going to say yes. And I thought, you know, it can't be that hard, can't be that difficult, that engrossing. So I didn't know what to expect, to be honest, but I thought, I'll just say yes. And I mean, honestly, that was as far as my thoughts went. It was just, yeah, and see what happens.
What about you, Victoria?
My first one. You talking to me?
Yes.
No, that
You
was
want
her
me
reaction.
to be on the radio? I was like, yeah, that was my reaction. I was like, and then you said, "Yeah, I'm talking to you. You, God gave me you," and I said, "Well, yes, I'll do it." And I only said yes because I love you so,
Mhm.
and I
Oh,
knew that if it was something that God gave you, it was going to be a good thing. I had no idea what it would look like. I even questioned again, was this you? I mean, was you talking to me? Because you guys have heard this before, but I didn't like my speaking voice. So
Mhm.
for you to ask me to do something where I'm talking was a stretch for me. But I did it because you asked me.
Mhm.
well, I tell you, I didn't know either. Uh, so you were following somebody who didn't have a plan. I had no plan. I just knew uh, that we were three writers.
Mhm.
We have had the mantra that everybody has a story. It just depends on whether they want to tell
Right.
it. And when God gave it to me, it didn't look like what it looks like now. I mean, not and I mean not at
Right.
all, not at all. I
Wow.
remember when we first started, we were radio only,
Yeah.
and I didn't want to do TV. I
Right.
didn't want to do this format that we have now. I didn't want you didn't like your voice. I didn't want anybody to see.
No, no, you didn't.
I didn't. I thought I'm gonna hold out as long as I can.
And you did. You did. You pushed back.
Yeah,
And you did.
why would anybody want to see me? No.
Well, do you think we should do this? Well, what do you think? I don't think we should do okay.
I was
Oh,
perfectly
but
happy.
it's so
As
much
a
better.
matter of fact, one of the things that drew me to it was the fact that nobody had to see me. I could come on and I could do the radio thing, and a lot of the people that I was bringing in as guests didn't want to be seen either. And that was, that was the first thing that they would ask. Well, does anybody have to see me? No, nobody has to see you. We're going to do radio. It'll be fun. And that is,
and it was fun.
But radio had its drawbacks. And
yes,
the drawback was when there was silence. You didn't know whether the person was hearing you, whether they were ready to go ahead and speak, whether they weren't, so there was always this funny timing aspect to it. And you would find yourself over talking each other. That's a word, and then there'd be silence.
Yeah, I was going to say that there were times when you didn't know who was speaking.
And we'd go back and forth and go, "Are you there? Are you there? Are you there?" And then there was the challenge of forgetting, because we taped an entire show. I think it was Victoria. It was amazing. The timing was perfect. Victoria had gotten into the flow, and she was just talking, and everything was going good. And I gave that last tagline that
we had a good time.
When life speaks, you'll speak life. And then I realized I never hit record.
We did a whole show, half an hour. We was talking.
And we sat, and it was like, we have to do it again. How are we going to do it again? We can't do it again.
I said, well, the first time was a rehearsal. That's all.
Dress rehearsal. Yeah.
That's it. And we struggled, but
yeah, it was rehearsal.
We made it through, and it was just one of those things. And we've had a lot of things happen like that over the last 5 years. Things that we've had birthday celebrations, which some of you were on those shows. We've had mishaps with computers and things.
Visitors. Don't forget the visitors.
It's always me. It's always me.
Now, I wasn't going to bring that up, but since you mentioned it.
Remember when the doorbell rang that time and I had to go get the doorbell in the middle of the show? They would not go away. I was like, wait a minute. I was like,
we tried some things that just because we weren't doing exactly that, we were trying. I never expected that we would have the caliber of writers that we have had, the kinds of books that they have written, that they have shared with us. And sometimes, and we never know what our guests are going to be like. We laughed about it the other day because we were saying, okay, is this guest going to be someone who talks or someone who doesn't? Because we've been interviewing people and we're all excited and we're all ready to go. And we ask them a question and they say yes.
And they're like,
that's it.
And nothing else. And we're left looking at each other going, oh, okay.
I want to touch the screen and go, hello? Hello? Are you there? Wake up. This your book. This your book.
The funny thing about it, when we started out, we had guests who would do the opening. You remember that, guys? We didn't even do the opening. It wasn't programmed like it is now with all the pretty pictures and all of that. We had a script, and somebody else would come
Right.
on and introduce
Mhm.
themselves, and they would do the opening, and then we would come on. And at the very end, we
Yep.
always said, you never know what will happen when you tune into Authors Up. And the
Authors
idea,
up
you say Authors Up in unison. It's
Oh,
been 5 years and we still cannot
together.
say Authors Up in unison. We recorded and
Together. You know,
re-recorded.
1, 2, 3. It just don't happen.
Didn't happen.
no.
Did not
Because we
happen.
all say it in a different way.
Never.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something though, ladies. What do
That's
you think?
okay.
What do you think has made this work? Because we have really been blessed. Those of you who may have been on before or with us at some point in time know that we never go on the air without prayer.
Mhm.
We always invite God into the broadcast,
Mhm.
and He is gracious enough to really uh, sit with us and orchestrate the things that we're saying and the things that we are doing. But what do you think is the key? Because, like I said in the beginning, people can get along in one area and then not get along in another. And this is something that takes all of us, and
Mhm.
I'll talk about that in a little bit. But what do you guys think it is?
I think it's that we give each other space to be who we are and to work with one another. There's
Right.
a certain amount of give and take that is needed because, in each of our own respective places, we're the boss. We're the ones calling the shots. We're the ones saying. And I know for me personally, I have a certain way of doing things that have to fit in a box. And
Right.
then there's Authors Up and the box explodes. So I have to be able to say, okay, just because they want to do it this way doesn't mean that it's the wrong way or that way. And I
Okay.
feel that
Okay.
from you guys, as we have done stuff over the last 5 years, that this would not have succeeded if I had been rigid about my box, if you had been rigid about your box,
Okay.
and Victoria, if you
Right.
had been rigid. So
Mm,
I think that
Right.
there is a certain amount of give and take, and I think that we respect that in each other.
mhm, mhm. What
Yes.
about you, Victoria?
For me, I I'm just gonna say how I feel. I feel that God gave you both to me, and you are my gifts. He knew that I needed this show to come out of my shell, and he knew that I needed your friendships at a time when and I needed them the most. And I think it is also the genuine love we have for each other. And Angie O says she thinks it's the chemistry with us. And for some reason, I agree. There is a synergy that's here. And
Mhm.
even our guests feel it because we
Mhm.
have been told this was the most fun interview I've had. Oh, you ladies have something special. And when we began to hear that, it confirmed to me what I already knew, that this is a special place. And I'm loving how we have grown with each other. I remember Ruth did not like to talk either at first.
I know. Isn't that
she was
amazing?
she was so quiet. I even had somebody say to me, well, I hear you talking, Elder Hines, Ruth doesn't say too much. And I said, I need to shut up a little bit and let her talk. But I've seen us both actually come out of our shells with the
Mhm.
talking. And it's just amazing. And when I say that it is the one thing I look forward to every week, it really is. And I mean it. It's like the highlight of my week of my week. It begins the week for me to be here with you. And I just feel like I'm spending time with my friends, and we're talking about something I love, which is books, which is writing, which is hearing other people's stories. And so this is an absolute pleasure place for me. And I started calling you guys the bronze girls, and that comes from the golden girls. I said they are golden, we are bronze. So these are my bronze girls, and we just have a good time with each other, and we let our guests know that we appreciate them. We show them that we appreciate their writing. We're really curious in who they are as a person, and I think it's the personal touch we give this show that means so much to us and to others.
Mm-hmm.
We've had, I think it's wonderful when we have notable authors who say, I just want to come hang out with you guys.
Yeah.
You know, who speak before hundreds of people and who have written books that have, you know, made the bestseller list and all of those things. But at the end of the day, they're still people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
There's still people with stories. There's still people with needs. When somebody says, "Oh my gosh, you actually read it," I can't think of doing an interview and not reading what the author wrote.
Can I share something real quick about that?
Sure.
I feel like that has set such a high standard for us that I was querying. Another podcast had reached out to me about putting me on their show, and I was like, sure, let's talk. And we set the date, and then the date came, and then that morning they said, hey, send us a copy of your book so we can, or just let us know what the name of your book is. And I was like, you're not going to read it? What are we going to talk about? And I was like, that's not what I do.
Yes.
And I had to cancel it because I was like, no, I'm not doing that. So yeah. I feel like
it just didn't feel right?
No, it didn't. Because I'm like, what are you going to ask me that, if you don't know what's in the book? This book could go like sideways and you'll not know it. So I feel like we have set such a high standard and people recognize that, and authors appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I think also
because we've heard it so many times.
Yeah. I think also in the very beginning, when the approach was made, whether it was by the author or through their agent or some other way, it was coming off as if, and I hope I don't say this the wrong way, but it was coming off as if they were doing us a favor. We're gonna do you a favor and come on your little podcast, come on your little broadcast, and we felt we were doing that for them. We were providing a space where they could talk about their book, talk about their writing journey, and all of those things, give some backstory, give some insight. And we, I think, became very particular in who we selected. We didn't take everybody. We didn't take everybody's book. And we learned early on that it's really a good idea to read the book.
Yeah.
I don't know whether you all remember this, but we had selected a book. And as we got closer to broadcast day, I went back and I was reading the book, and I saw some things in the story, and I immediately called Ruth and Victoria and I said, did you all read this? I mean, did you really read it? And they were like, well, yeah, I wrote it. And I said, oh, page thus and so. Did you read that page? And when we went back, it was like not appropriate. there was and we don't always do we were talking tonight, we've done children's books and we've done
Mhm.
memoirs and how-tos and all of that, but when Victoria says at the end of the show, get the book, that says that we stand behind the book and we stand behind the story.
Mhm.
And if we say get the
Yes.
book, it is because we're that's our stamp.
Yeah.
That's our stamp. And we don't ever want anybody to get the book, start reading the book and go, what? What
Right.
do they
What the what?
what in the world? What is going
Mhm.
on with this? So we take it seriously, because when we say that, that's our endorsement. I mean, that's our
Yes.
stamp. And I think that
Yeah.
people appreciate it. The authors really appreciate it and have said to us, "Oh my gosh, you read it." Oh,
Yes.
yeah, that's what the forum is all about, and that's why we do what we do. There's so many authors
Right.
and so many writers and so many books, and you know there are books and stories that some people will never hear of.
Right.
But there doesn't mean that they're not good, and it doesn't mean that they're not valuable, and doesn't mean that they're not
Right.
worthy to have a platform. I'm going to put you all on the spot for a minute. What is the
Wait.
most?
I'm gonna back up. Wait, back up. Wait. And I want to just tell everybody, I think that particular author didn't show up. Is that the one that didn't show up? Because we
Yes,
didn't cancel
exactly.
it, but then they didn't show up.
They were the first no call no show that we had.
Mhm.
And I remember thinking, and we talked about the fact that God just really protected us, and has protected us, and has been the director, the producer, and everything else that we have needed
Yes.
him to be. You're exactly right, Victoria. I remember that now. And we were so
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we took a deep breath that night.
Very
Deep
grateful.
breath that
Mhm.
night. Yeah, that's right. That's right. But I was asking, what is
Okay, go
there
ahead.
something in particular, something that stands out to you as we've been along this journey? Is there a particular author, a particular situation, a particular circumstance um, that that goes in the category I will never forget?
I think you're gonna have to go first. Give some example.
Oh, give us
Right.
an. I actually think I gave the example. I, I think that one did it, and I think the other time, and I've mentioned it before, was when we attempted to change the flow. Um, and Ruth, you brought it out
Mm.
earlier when you were talking about being in your box, and why we work
Mhm.
and can work well together. We understand that this is not a one person deal.
Mhm.
We
Right.
respect the fact that there are some things that you do better than I do them, and that just works around the
Mhm.
circle.
Mhm.
And we give each
Yeah.
other the opportunity to voice, but um, we're never away from consensus.
Mhm.
It's never going to be your way or my way, or I feel so strongly about this that I'm good. There's always consensus. And because there is consensus, we can always walk away feeling good,
Mhm.
feeling good. Um, and I know there's another time, but I'm going to see whether you all mention it. Ah. You may and you may not. You may and you may not. Victoria, you have a real
What you talk about, Willis?
funny. I'm not going to say it.
What you talk about?
Do you have an instant that you can think of that particularly stands out for you?
I
One
mean,
that always stands out for me is when we took the time to fast and pray about the direction we were going to go in, and God just answered each of us separately, but it was like almost the same message.
mhm.
And so he talked to all three of us, and we knew we were going the right way. And so that was confirmation for me that God has always been the center of this, and he always will be.
Mhm.
That was the part. That was the one. That was the one I was wondering if you guys remembered that. It was a week. We took a week to step back from
Mhm.
it all and said that,
Mhm.
and I think Victoria, you got your message came like in 2 days. Yours
Mhm.
was in a book that you
Yes.
were reading, and I remember you sending your message as to what God had spoken to you about how we were supposed to
Right.
handle it. What about you, Ruth?
Mhm.
I mean, I don't think I have anything in particular about us, about the show. I do remember those instances. And honestly, for me, it was about stepping into the role that we each have. So for me specifically,
Mm.
it was, the vetting of the authors. It was being able to say, okay, it doesn't have to be a consensus, but you guys trust me. You guys trust
Yeah,
that
Yes.
I
Yes.
am doing the work that I need to do on this, and we've had such incredible, incredible authors. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
we've had such incredible stories. And yeah, we've had a few that
Yes.
were just like, yeah. And either that was, I can say this much, the authors that were no show, no call, no show, or that it was just no, because we've had two,
Yeah.
maybe three of those, were all in the weeks that I doubted myself.
Yes.
Well, thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Wow.
But looking back on that, and I'm like, I just, you need to walk in the confidence that, yeah, you know what you're doing, you know? And I think just looking back on that, that is for me
Yeah.
what stands out, Bishop Brady used to say, you got to go in your lane, stay in your lane, and
Stay in your lane.
that's, yeah,
And
that's how I see it.
that's interesting too, because when we started this, and I thank God, because when we started this, we had no idea what the lane was going to be,
Mm-mm,
because
Right.
this was not what I envisioned at all.
mm-mm,
This this was this was not it. I thought that it was going to be more of a promotion of our work,
mm-hmm.
because we were all writers,
Okay.
and we that Victoria was the blogger, and I was the poet, and Ruth was the
Mm-hmm.
the be all end all publisher, and
Publisher
going
and a
to
writer.
stay in those lanes. We'd have tips and tools, which we still do. Victoria would get to read from her blog sometimes, and I would, pick out something to share. And God just kept opening the door and opening the door, and it just kept getting wider and wider and wider. We've talked
Right. Right.
about you and teased you a little bit, Ruth, about being so quiet, but yeah, in terms of trusting your lane, hands down. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you said, and sometimes I
Yes,
think
ma'am. Yes.
as it was difficult um, to even say anything, because I used to sit back and think, what's she asking me for? You know, she- She said, read that book. We gonna go read that book. Find that author. That's what we gonna do. That's how that works. You know? But you never wanted that autonomy. You never wanted to come in and just say, we're going to do this weekend, and we're going to do that. You always wanted our input, and you
Right.
always wanted us to, be able to say what we think and to bring our perspective to whatever it was we were reading. And because wasn't always the same. There were times that we would be absolutely, I want the author to talk about this. And that's why we started kind of doing the templates, because we were so much in sync and in line with what it was that the author was
Right.
doing.
We would have the same questions.
Yeah, you took my question. Why don't you take my question? And we would do it that way. Let me ask you this, guys. Personally, what has the collaboration meant to you or done for you personally, on personal level?
You want to go first, Ruth? Or?
Sure. It has taught me, how to collaborate. To be honest, like I said, I have been very black and white in my thinking for a very long time. That is just how my brain works. And, not that I can't work on a team, not that I can't, but, I view authors up as an extension of my work. But the thing is, it's not just my project. It's part of you guys as well. So it has taught me how to collaborate. And I rather enjoy it, to be honest. It's just, I could carry this by myself if I wanted to, but it's just like, why would I? When I have you guys, when it is, we say this, if nothing else, we can talk, and we're showing that tonight. So, but when you have, you have something that you enjoy as much as you do, and then you can bring other people on and talk about it. It's not, we're not competing for the limelight. We're not competing to get our thoughts out. Yeah, sometimes we ask the question that somebody else wanted to ask, but it's fun.
It's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. What about you, Victoria? I noticed you talked about.
Go ahead.
It was that lag she was talking about earlier.
Yeah. Yes, that lag. Yeah. For me, I have grown in my self-esteem. I no longer dread the sound of my voice. So much so that I've have my own show now. Living life victoriously, and that's going okay, but it could be doing a little bit better, and I want to work on that this year. But I'm just so grateful that God has shown me, and I feel that. And like I told you guys, it came at a time when I needed you guys the most, going through a divorce and, separation, divorce. And it's just been a reconstruction of myself the last few years anyway. And Authors Up has really been a catalyst for me to come out of my shell and to do some different things and to think differently. And as we interact with people and read their stories and learn the story behind the story, it is just so interesting to me. And I never thought that I would be doing something like this ever. When you approached me, I'm like, I said yes, but I really didn't want to do it. It was like, not me. I can't do this. But to go from where we started from to now, look at what God has done. That's all I could say. To God be the glory. Look what he's done. Like, I'm sitting on this platform talking with you guys, and I got a picture of my book behind me. All of that came, all of that's been since we started, so it's just amazing what God has done. And I will say this to the hilltops. It all begins with the power of the yes. When we say yes to God, to what he's purposed and put up for in line for us, when we say yes and we allow him to have his way, look what he's done. Because all three of us had to say yes. All of us had to be in agreement. And we are in agreement about most things. And when we're not, we talk through it, we pray through it, and we keep moving. And what we may have worried about individually, collectively, it's okay. It just works itself out. So I'm just still in amazement, and I'm looking forward to what God is going to continue to do. But for me personally, I've grown a lot. I sometimes go back and listen to that first recording, and I was just talking so much, and yes, I'm talking so much, can't let the author speak because I'm going, yeah, shut up, girl. But it was a learning experience, we are still learning, and that's what I
Yes.
love the most about Authors Up, that we're learning, we're doing things that we never thought we would do. And I'm just so excited to see what God has for us as we go on. Maybe he might say, year 7, I want y'all to do something else. This is not working. But we are open to what God says. And that power of the yes is just amazing.
It's interesting too about the power of the yes, because Angie, who is on the line, also has her own show now. And I think about it now. Angie's comment was, I said, yes, let's do this. Now, what I did not know was that this was something that Angie always wanted to do.
Wow.
Had I not asked her, had I not been obedient in asking her, this may have slipped by.
Oh,
And
wow.
it is so important within that yes and the power of the yes that we understand the obedience to his voice.
Mhm.
And I think that that is something that has driven us also. We will look at that clock, and if it is 6:45, and one of us will say, we haven't prayed. We've got to pray before our guest comes in. We always pray differently, and we have the opportunity now, the way that the show is positioned, to do what's called our weekend review. And for me, that week in review allows me to let go of and get rid of and take my mind off of anything that would prohibit me from giving you guys and the author my absolute attention, to be present. One thing that in coaching, when I was going for my certification as a life coach, uh, I was taught, be present, be present.
Mhm.
Don't, have your mind off
Mm-hmm.
and thinking about the grocery store or the piece of chicken you just fried and you
Mhm.
wish you
Yep.
had a chance to eat before you went on the air and all those other things. Did you know I love my chicken? I got to have some
Mindfulness. Yes.
mindfulness. To be able um, to do that and have that is a privilege.
Right.
I count it an honor, and I count it a privilege that people trust us
Mhm.
with their work.
Yes.
This is somebody's baby.
Yes.
This is
Yes.
somebody's baby, and God
Right.
knew. He knew exactly who to bring together that could bring the best out of each one of us. I feel like you and Ruth bring the best out of me. I'm generally
Wow.
the kind of content person, the kind of um, uh, more of an idea person, probably. I hate to use the word visionary, but it's a good word. But
Mhm.
I think it
Mhm.
applies. That Ruth has
Yeah,
that
yeah.
level of detail when she is giving us tips and tools and talking about publishing and writing. I can't step on that. I can't get in the way of that. And
Right.
Victoria, no matter what is going on in her life, she comes with a presence to be joyous,
Mhm.
to be victorious, to bring the laughter, to bring the joy, and it just all works together. It
Mhm.
just all works together. And I am grateful for that. And for those of you who are putting in the comment section that you love the show, you enjoy the show, thank you so much. We appreciate it. I appreciate it
Thank you.
from
Yes.
ALH Broadcasting. I appreciate my compadres uh, who are with me on Authors Up, and what we have.
You got me all tearing up. Oh Lord. Okay, okay.
And you, it's something, somebody said
Okay,
something
okay.
about next year
I'm
or
not
a
gonna
year.
cry. I'm not gonna cry.
It's too late. It's too late. But somebody was saying something about year 7. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what God has in store for us. Just
Yeah.
like you all don't know what God has in store for you. But I appreciate the fact that you have
Right.
allowed us to become a part of your journey, that you come on to When Life Speaks once a week, and you enjoy the programming that ALH Broadcasting has brought to you. I hope that you will continue. I hope you will continue to support us. I hope you will continue to laugh with us. I hope you will continue to cry with us, because we will cry from time to time. And I hope you will pray
Yo.
with us and for us
Mm.
throughout this journey. I can't imagine a Sunday evening at 7 o'clock without these ladies. And more importantly,
Me either.
there are just mornings that one of us will just wake up and send that text that says, good morning, beautiful. Good morning, ladies. Have a
Yeah.
good day today. And just to know that somebody's thinking about you and
Mhm.
caring about you. If
Yeah.
anybody has in the audience who is listening or viewing tonight, if you got a quick question that you want to put in that comment section before we close, do it now. Now is the time to do it before we get off the air.
Mhm.
Ruth, do you see something in particular for this collaboration? Or is there anything in particular you'd like to see happen that hasn't happened yet?
Nothing, you know what? I'll be honest, nothing in particular. All I see is growth. I tell my oldest daughter that the world is her playground, and I truly believe that. She is at the point where, if she wanted to go abroad and just walk, she could do that. I see the same thing for us, that the stars are our goals or our
Wow.
destination. We just have to do it.
Just,
So,
just do it.
yeah. So honestly, I don't
Just
see
do it.
any
Like the
particular
ladies.
details, but I just see that if we keep applying ourselves, we're going to hit it. We're going
Yeah.
to
Hmm.
reach that goal.
Hmm.
So that's what I see.
Yeah.
What about you, Victoria?
I just, we are talking about getting our website going. I see that um as a great thing that we're going to do by the end of this year or possibly before. Have a place where everybody could go online, and I see that as growth. And I think that is a wonderful thing. So the sky's the limit. Whatever God places in our hands to do, we are going to do
Mhm.
it. And as long as we continue to keep God at the center, and love each other and support each other, because we do that on the show and off the show. As long as we continue to do that, we are living proof that women can get along. Women can do things to help each other and empower each other. And I absolutely love it. It's no greater place to be Sunday night at 7:00. Women empowerment, 12 months out the year. That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
Well, ladies, I thank you for being with me tonight, and I thank everyone who joined tonight. Thank you all for being here and enjoying the fun and the love. And enjoying the love. Throughout the rest of this year, I will be highlighting and spotlighting some other of the members of the ALH broadcasting family so that you can get to know them a little bit better and understand their start and what they are looking at, what their goals are, what the direction is. And I just appreciate you. I appreciate every one of you for being with us tonight, for sharing with us tonight. And just, like I say every week, come on back. Never know exactly what guests we're going to have, what topics we're going to have, but it is meant for you to enjoy. It is meant for you to turn down the volume of life. And when you do that, you're going to be ready to receive, so that when life speaks, you speak life. Yes. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Ruth. Thank you, Victoria. Love you.
You're welcome. Good night. Good night, everybody. Love you too.